So this video is going to quickly cover some of the structures of this research paper to provide you a little bit of support around the actual formatting and structure of your research paper. So some of the first questions that come up is like, exactly how do I write my paragraphs? When you're thinking about section 1, which is just context, providing historical and modern day context, meaning just looking at what is the reality of this issue, there's not any analysis. Your research paper really should just follow in this section of the paper, this format for the paragraphs. Each paragraph should start with a topic, sentence, or claim, basically answering what is the main focus or main idea of this paragraph. So are you going to look at history? Are you looking at the history through law? Are you looking at current statistics? Providing basically the focus of the paragraph. And then obviously you're going to want to provide evidence. What pieces of specific evidence can you provide that highlights the topic or main issue? All evidence that you provide in these paragraphs, because it's coming from a secondary source, another source that isn't your mind, should have an in-text citation to that source. When you think about, okay, so how do I write my paragraphs for section 2 and 3? Well, section 2 and 3 are looking at social conditioning and dominant culture in section 2, and then implicit bias in section 3. All of these paragraphs should have the following structure. Same beginnings, meaning a topic, sentence, or claim, looking at or answering the question, what is the focus or main idea of this paragraph? A piece of evidence, meaning what specific evidence, again, are you providing? It could be a commercial, an ad, a content from an interview, something from an article or news source. But because it is evidence that you're pulling from another source, it's going to have an in-text citation. Now, these paragraphs will be different in that you will have to add commentary, meaning what does the evidence that you just gave above reveal or demonstrate? Why does that evidence matter? When you're looking at that ad, that magazine, it's very similar to what you did on the resistant reading exam. Well, what does it reveal? So what? Why do we care about it? What are we seeing here? Because this is your brain at work, it is your analysis, it doesn't need a citation. So this is the basic paragraph structure for sections 2 and 3 of social conditioning, dominant culture, and implicit bias for this particular research paper. Now, when you're thinking about providing evidence, you'll often do this either through quotes or paraphrasing. What is a direct quote and how is it different than a paraphrase? Well, direct quote is using quotation marks and inserting the information word for word from the source. Your direct quotes cannot be more than 3 lines long, and they do require an in-text citation. Your paraphrasing is still pulling information from a source, but you're summarizing source information or putting it in your own words. Even though you are putting it in your own words, it is still information from another source, so it requires in-text citations. When using direct quotes, all quotes require always some sort of introductory statement, meaning something like, according to the New York Times, or in an interview with James Blake, he claimed, or something like Maria J., student at the Columbus School, stated, something that introduces your quote. When you're using a paraphrase, you don't always require an introduction, but it can have one. So you'll see 2 examples here to the right. One of it uses an introduction. An article published by El Tiempo revealed, and then the information is paraphrased. Notice that there's no quotation marks because this was something put in the writer's own words. The second example is the same information, but without an introduction, just directly giving the information. Current rates of anorexia in Colombia have reached an all-time high in teens age 13, but it still requires your notice that whether you intro it or not, even if it's a paraphrase, even if you're putting it in your own words, that information is coming from a source, so there's an in-text citation there.